Hey, West Village Church. Andrew here bringing you your weekly update. Chris is out of the building right now, but he was here today. But he is preparing for our online gathering this Sunday and heading out of town for one last getaway with the family. And so, I have the privilege and honor of just sharing with you a little bit of what's happening this week as part of our church. The first thing I want to let you know is just what a blessing it's been for me personally, for us to be able to gather in person. And probably a lot of you are wondering, like, what's happening coming into the fall. And you've heard us talk, saying that we have some plans, we're working through some stuff. But I want to start off with just a quick note of encouragement. I want to say, church, it is really good to be together, and that's because this is how God has made us. I got to watch Matt Fontes share his sermon on gathering, the one that he did online, and just was reminded of how this is such a key part of what we're created to be, how we're just made in God's image, and God is an intricately relational God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in this beautiful community. And so as a church, we get to live out a picture of what God is like as we come together, support each other, submit to each other, and live our discipleship out with each other. And so we as a church know that this is important, and we're looking for ways to do that at all levels, both at the community group and DNA level, and then of course, as we continue to look to the fall with gathering together in person. So this week, we are only going to be meeting online, but Chris is going to share with you not only the end of our sermon series called We Are West Village, which is a chance for us to take a look at some of the rhythms that really make up what it means to be the church, and in particular, how they get lived out in our church context. But also, he's going to take some time to give you a more full update with some details about what indoor gathering is going to look like. And I want to make this very clear. We will start indoor gatherings as of September 13th. So mark that off on your calendars. We are super excited. We'll abide by all of the guidelines that the government has put out for us to make sure that we're being as safe as possible. But we're going to use the freedom that we have to gather together, to worship Jesus, to listen to his word, and be shaped by the gospel. Second thing that I want to remind you of is that we as a church believe that there are a few practices that help shape us and our discipleship and our acts of worship to Jesus. So one of those practices is baptism. Baptism is a chance for those who have chosen to follow Jesus, both to act in obedience to him because he's commanded us to be baptized, but also to declare to the world around them that they have chosen to submit their lives under his lordship. And so what I want to do is invite any of you who are thinking about getting baptized, who have questions about baptism, who would like to get baptized, to email me at andrew@westvillagechurch.com. And I would love to spend some time both looking at baptism and figuring out a time when we as a church family can come and support you as you take this step of obedience. A second rhythm that our church practices is what we call child dedications. And child dedications are really more like parent commissionings, a chance for us as a church family to come alongside parents who are declaring their intention to disciple their kids to know Jesus, to be disciples who make disciples. And so if you have had a child in the last little bit, or you've never done this, would like to start this practice, we want to invite you to reach out to us. We're going to look at the next couple of months for some dates that we can actually come alongside you, celebrate as a family, and dedicate those children to Jesus, and also commission you as parents in that discipleship process. And to get started on that journey, just email Michelle at kids@westvillagechurch.com. A third reminder I have for you, or a third announcement, if you will, is we are so excited that we are going to be launching Foundation School this fall. Now, for those of you who've been around West Village for a long period of time, you know that we have a lot of acronyms, a lot of things that signify some of our practices. One that you might have heard before is GLR, which stands for the Gospel Leader Residency. That was a class, if you will, that we developed to help our church family grow in their understanding of the gospel. And last year, we kind of rebranded it Gospel Foundations. And this year, we've kind of taken that Gospel Foundations and we said, we want to build on this. We want to make it something that people can continue to grow up in maturity in their knowledge and understanding of Jesus, but also in being shaped in their heart and in their hands and their ability as disciples. And so we've added a second year this year to the Foundations Foundations program, and we're calling the whole thing now Foundation School. And you can sign up and be part of that. So for those of you who've never done any GLR, any foundation stuff before, we want to invite you to enter into year one. Year one is going to be 3 5-week trimesters, and it's a chance to take a deep dive into how the gospel both impacts us personally and corporately, and how it shapes us as disciples of Jesus. But we have the second year for anyone who has already done GLR or Gospel Foundations that we want to invite you into. And this is a chance to take a deep dive into both how to understand and read the scriptures and allow the scriptures to shape our life, and also some of the core theological concepts or core beliefs that are really there to help shape our understanding of what it means to be a follower of Jesus. And so again, that will also be a 3 trimester, 5-week over a 9-month period time. And it's going to be really, really good, really interactive, and a great chance for you to grow in your discipleship. Finally, I want to let you know that we have not forgotten that our primary objective as Jesus' church is to be on Jesus' mission, to bring him glory, to bring him worship in all of life as we continue to pursue the city of Victoria through gospel saturation. And I hope that you haven't forgotten that as well. And so I just want to encourage you to continue, even as we're entering the fall and there's some tension and you may be afraid, not to forget that we have this great commission that Jesus has given us to make disciples who make disciples. And so when you're at school, or when you're at the grocery store, or when you're back at work more often, don't just look around and see people as a potential source of virus, but see them as people who desperately need to hear the good news of Jesus. So we want to invite you to continue to declare and demonstrate who Jesus is in those relationships. But as a church corporately, there's a couple of things that we have done together to help do this. And one of those is called Fill the Freezer. And what we do is we ask you, our church family, to come, bring a meal, fill this freezer. And then for anyone who has a need, whether it's personally, like I need something, or you know someone who has a need that you're not able to necessarily fulfill on your own, to come and take those meals to someone who would benefit from them. And so here's how it works. If you are able to provide a meal, please come, pre-frozen, pre-made meal. And on the package, make sure you write a list of all the ingredients so we can kind of match meals to people's food preferences and any allergies that they might have. Instructions for cooking, and then the date that you cooked it on or that you made it on. And then bring it here to the freezer. And then again, if you have someone in your life who needs a meal, please come here, grab a meal. Or if you're someone who is struggling right now, please come and freely take of this meal. And it's just a chance for us as a church to remind ourselves and the people that we're on mission to that there is a God who loves them, who is pursuing them, who can provide for them, and in a small way, food, but ultimately all of their salvation, which he did at the cross. And so this is a great reminder. And I just encourage you, remember that the gospel is a declared message. And so as you interact with people who you're providing meals for, don't be afraid to just allow the gospel to be proclaimed in explaining why you're doing this. It's not just because you're a good neighbor. It's not just because you're a good person. It's not just because that's like a good thing to do. It's because you know a good God who provided for you, and this is a response to what he has done. And so let's work together to declare that gospel message in our city. So church family, once again, I am so excited that I'm going to be able to see many of you on September 13th. And for those of you who are either ill or who are immunocompromised, please don't feel any obligation to come. We want to be able to continue to serve you from a distance, so we will continue to have our gatherings live streamed, and you'll be able to continue to interact with us. And we hope that you will be able to find smaller ways to connect with the family, such as DNA groups or community groups. But yeah, that's what we got for you this week. So look forward to seeing you all, and we hope you have a great week together.